Hello, Sim Racers, and hello from the Mini-Me. I'm so happy to be back again online, finally. I mean, what a worst case scenario. We released the version 1.9 of the simulator, and we released the amazing GTWC 2023 DLC. Wow, what a mouthful. Well, practically the three new 2023 cars, and updates on the Mercedes as well. And right at the perfect moment, my internet connection completely died. So practically what they did is that they are creating a brand new roundabout in my city town here, which is yay for the Miata, because, you know, roundabouts, it's an old car. The rear end tends to, you know, go sideways. You have to be careful. But unfortunately, excavators instantly started, you know, doing work. And again, yeah, you know, once in a while, sometimes in Italy, you get work to be done fast enough. But, you know, at some point, the full fiber connection cable just got out together with the excavator and snapped it in half, and we had no internet. Anyway, they took almost a week to repair it, but we are back online. Hopefully, we will be able to stay stable, I hope. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do all the live streams I wanted to do about the new update and the DLC, but fear not, here we are. So, tonight, we are going to talk about the new cars, and tomorrow, in the afternoon, I'm going to be doing a stream of all the physics and update in Italian. So, per I miei amici italiani che so tanto che aspettano e vogliono un stream in italiano, domani nel pomeriggio, penso devo ancora pubblicarlo, ma penso subito dopo le qualifiche, la sprint, anzi sprint gara di MotoGP e Formula 1. Se non avete nient'altro da fare, faremo un altro 3-4 ore per parlare della fisica nuova della versione 1.9. What else? So, I've been told by Andimon, who is creating those amazing mini-me's, that the last batch of the limited edition mini-me's is ending. And afterwards, I don't know exactly the plans. I think it will be probably costing even more. So this is your last occasion. If you really want a nice mini-me to, you know, tell you what to do while you're driving, take cover of your strategy, not really, or just, you know, whispering you bad Malakas words, this is the occasion. Link in the description. As usual, go and get it. All right, so how is the chat going, guys? How are you doing? All good? First of all, I need to thank everybody. The support that you have given us in those last live streams were really amazing. So thank you so much. I'm also extremely happy to see that for the vast majority of people, the new update is miraculous. They really like it, and I can assure you we'll try to improve it even more if possible. I also want to thank in particular all the people that visited us in the Fanatec Arena, fantastically organized as usual by IK Informatica, and from the SimGrid guys in the you know, taking care of the servers at the weekend of Monza, the Monza SRO race. Guys, honestly, I was without voice. You were so many. I don't know what happened, honestly. It took me a little bit out by surprise. But thank you so much for coming to visit us, for talking to me, for, you know, taking photos and everything. I wish I had double and triple the time to talk with every single one of you. But I think we've managed at least to you know, make some short chit-chat during the weekend. All right, so let's see a little bit the chat, and then we hop inside the game and start showcasing the cars. Okay. Ah, Daniel, I'm sorry about that. Good. Okay. So, what are we going to do tonight? So let's go in game. We are going to, for the first hour or so, let's say, I would like to showcase you the new cars, starting by the Mercedes, which is not a new car, but it is greatly updated. Talk a little bit about the strengths, the changes, the advantages and disadvantages of those cars, and maybe point out the best strategy to make a good setup and have a go to the car. Afterwards, if we are still in time and we don't take it way too long, I don't think that's going to be the case. I would like to make a nice short race with you guys. So I think the server will go online at half an hour from now. So you're still in time. If you want to participate, as usual, description has the information of where to go and how to find the information to participate in our community races. I think we will be racing at Suzuka, so we're gonna have some short sprint race fun. All right. Okay. So let's start with the AMG. So the Mercedes AMG GT3, even though they haven't released an Evolution, an Evo 2 car, the car has been given quite a bit of updates during all those years, 3 years, I think. And obviously, Mercedes is not calling the car Evo 2, but it would be almost realistic to call it Evo 1.5. So Mercedes has been extremely helpful with us, and they care a lot to see their car being used by the sim racers. And so they've given us all the extra information and data we needed to update the car. And so here we are. Well, first of all, let's have a look also on the various on the various 2023 liveries which are being created by our artists. Wonderful new liveries. I don't even remember who are the new ones and who are the old ones, but you get the idea. We have plenty of those. Look at this. Look at these colors. Isn't that fantastic? Obviously, you can't do without the snake, right? And let's see if I can find. I've seen some very beautiful ones. This one is really nice. Ah, look at this. Wonderful. Yeah, it's a weeb car. And let's see. Ah, isn't this amazing? What a great livery. Also nice. I think this one has some. No, wasn't here. Hey, that's the usual strange one. Look at this green one. The Hulk, almost. And of course, the great ACC team. Plenty of stuff. Ah, wonderful. And so many. Some of them are the older ones. Another great library. Look at this. Yeah, that's the wrong Mercedes. We're gonna get the new one. And for the new one, we also have the Akkodis team now. We know the winner of the Ulton Park British GT. Raffaele Marcello, of course, was a little bit angry on Monza, but always, I mean, the guy was just had the. I mean, to give you an idea, most people say, yeah, but Marcello, you know, is a little bit always a little bit angry, or, you know, but in reality, he was there. He had the accident had just happened, and he was going back to his motorhome. He was not in a very good mood, and while he was passing beside me, a guy was like, Raffaele, can we make a photo? And he was like, yeah, sure, come on, let's do a photo. And I mean, this is the amazing atmosphere you can live into the paddock of the S0 races. Everybody's so cool about that, so really nice. Look at this. How wonderful is that? Fantastic. Another one. Ha. It was a very cool one. This is nice, strange. The Assetto also with the Sim Sports. Race taxi. Race taxi under 8. I'm here trying to do under 9. They're doing under 8, probably in the full lap. Wonderful. Okay, let's get the race taxi under 8 and let's go to the Nürburgring. I'm gonna try the cars at the Nürburgring, have a little bit of a couple of laps and see how they behave, and explain. Fungus, it was really great to see you and meet you on Monza as well. Hey, everybody in the chat. Yes, David, the GT4 ideal pressure is also lower in the same wide range as well. You might want them to keep them slightly higher because the cars are heavier. Left because the fan. All right, so the Mercedes. So the Mercedes have managed to lower the center of gravity of the original car. We are talking very small differences, like 10 millimeters, but those cars are so sensitive that even 10 millimeters of lower center of gravity makes quite a bit of a difference. They've managed to take the parts of the engine even closer to the center of the car, to the center of the gravity, so the car is now has smaller polar inertia. It feels more agile. There have been changes to the suspension as well, and some small changes here and there on the aerodynamics, which improve both the absolute numbers and the pitch sensitivity. So the car is somewhat safer and more stable to drive around. It is a car that has quite a bit of drag. So it is a draggy car. And it seems that it doesn't matter a lot, so you don't gain a lot if you run low wing or high wing. The drag is quite high. My advice is always go to a medium high to very high downforce setup, even on tracks that require very high speeds. In the end of the day, you're gonna have probably a somewhat lower top speed from other cars in the grid, but the downforce that the car producing is worth it. This is what they do also with the real car as well, and it is a car that if you can set it well, it is very stable. It remains also very consistent through the whole stint, and it is very, very fast now. So, Nate, if you're talking about the latest hotfix, we're trying to implement the Mercedes data. We might have overdid it, so expect another hotfix probably next week in order to make it not so severe drag as it is right now with the wing. It's going to be something in between. We're trying to find out exactly with the engineers where to stay with the amount of drag the car produces for higher wing values. Because from the data it seems to be linear, but in reality it's not so linear. It's a little bit different. So we're trying to find out exactly what we do. So as usual, we're gonna get the aggressive setup. and possibly we're gonna play a little bit with it or see how it is, and let's have a go. All right, so we'll just leave it as it is. We're gonna do at least 4 laps now, because the new tires need 1 or 2 laps more than the older tires in order to heat up and produce the correct amount of grip, mechanical grip, and pressure. And then we're gonna change the pressures again. Okay. All right, let's go. Oops, sorry about that. I had the options on the audio on the screen, so we're gonna change it. I hope you can still hear it. Let's see if there's... Yeah, all good. Let me know, guys. Okay, let me know if the sound is good or if I need to... very quiet. Okay, we can raise it a little bit. Yes, indeed, it is very quiet. It should be good here. Sorry about that, guys. Should be better now. Okay. So all cars, there is a VidCar that says I said something about the anti-dive on the Mercedes. All cars have anti-dive and anti-squat suspensions. The Mercedes in particular, it had a quite big amounts of anti-dive. With the latest suspension improvements, it seems that it is more balanced now, and you can, you know, have a better setup, and you can set up the car in a better way. So as you can see, much more reactive car now than before. Okay, much more agile. It still is a front mid-engine car, but the agility is much better, and there is so much stability and good traction out of the corners. You can go inside the turns, have good rotation, and yet get also good traction out of the corners. The traction control is particularly well balanced. You can play with various traction controls levels and get very, very good results. Let's try to do 3 or 4 laps, heat up the tires, and then go and see what kind of pressure we have. Went a little bit wider, but that's okay. So what it loses in maybe extreme agility because of the front engine, it gains in extremely good handling of the curbs. The car can really go over the curbs with confidence now. You can really attack the curbs, and the suspension works really, really well in all kinds of curbs, even on the higher sausages right now. It was one of the reasons why the car was a bit too fast on the Monza Sport race. It was able to attack the curbs at Monza in a particularly good way. The high downforce also helps with that, because obviously you're going over the curbs, and look at this, and the car doesn't jump too high on the air, and you can still retain the control of the car. The RPMs always depend from one track to the other, depending on the BOP. On some circuits, you might see that it's good to change at around 7,100. On some other circuits, you might want to pull to 7,200 RPM. Keep in mind that if you really want to do it properly and be really, really good, maybe you should, check it with Motec and telemetry, and you will find that sometimes on specific gear, the upshifts, depending on the gear, have to be higher or lower. So, for example, if you see that after a gear, you're going higher in the torque, and you are in one of those circuits that the BOP permits for a lot of torque in low revs, maybe you want to upshift in a lower RPM. Sorry about that. The voice is almost okay, but not perfect yet. Look at how confident the car goes over the curves. Really, really good. So pressures are also going up. Now we are at around 26 lows, 26 mids at the front, and the car really starts to give a lot of confidence of mechanical grip. Look at how the traction control really helps you to get out of the corner without stopping you that much, but at the same time also controls very nicely the rear power, the engine power, and lets you achieve just the correct amount of drift to rotate the car and get out of the corner. Okay, we just go in, and you see, it's really nice. Kevin! Oh my god, thank you so much, buddy! Big, big thank you. Great support, guys, thank you so much. Look how stable the car is, even though I may make a mistake at the turn-in of the Schumacher SS. Nice. Oh, too much. So now I overheated the surface of the tires. I have to be careful now. Yeah, it's always good for the force feedback, guys. I mean, I always keep it at 100 in the game, but I have reasons in terms of development. If you have a strong enough wheel, I highly recommend to keep it lower in game and raise the power on your steering wheel. It's always the best way. So pressures are already pretty good. Doesn't seem to need a lot of change. Look at the rotation here, so nice. Look at how good the car goes over this curb and just, goes down the curb and instantly settles, and you can stay on the throttle without problems of, having the rear end stepping out or having the traction control cutting too much. Really, really nice car. Really, how to say, a mature car. A car that, was an extremely good base, and through all the developments and evolutions, it has become an extremely capable and mature car that you can trust to be able to, get a podium pretty much everywhere. Again, drag is a little bit on the high end, but it's not terrible. You can still have good enough top speeds. Go. You see, we are in the third lap, and now the tires really give all the mechanical grip available. Fourth lap now. Let's try to push a little bit and see what we can obtain. Extremely good at braking. In we go. Traction control works really nice. Into the apex. Look at the stability over here. Went wide. Doesn't matter. Over the curb. Lots of trail braking works really nice now. Not a good lap, but it gives you an idea of how you can play around with the handling of the car with the correct inputs. Ah, overdid it. Hello Robert, all good, hope you're doing great as well. Yeah. So, as you can see, I'm having a little bit too much rotation for my driving style, for my level right now. So let's go back to the pits. Let's have a look at the replays also. Let's see how nicely the car can handle through and over the curbs. Look at this, look at how nice it is. Fast reaction here, goes up, goes down, and instantly settles, and you don't have any problems to keep on going. Let's see if we can find it also on the Schumacher SS. Here it is. I think I went up the curb here. Look at how stable the car feels over the curbs. And again, no problems at all. It's all driving skill issue than anything else. But, you know, driving issue, skill issue, whatever. Let's go to the garage. Have a look. Again, the usual stuff is look at your pressures. They seem decent. No big deal. First thing you do, as always, is your aero. It's the most important stuff. So if you have, you know, a little bit of oversteer, as I have right now myself, you can go a little bit lower on the rear end and it should fix itself. But let's say that you like it and you just want to do small changes. So I will go in the dampers here and I want some fine tuning. Okay, and what I have is a lot of rotation when I'm pushing the car into the turn, which means that the moment I go turning in and braking, the rear end goes up. It seems that it goes up a little bit too much for my liking, so I want the rear end to be more controlled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the slow rebound. I'm going to make it stiffer and a little bit of the bump as well, in order to not let the rear end of the car bounce up and down slowly, but you know, during the turning in. That's one of the things I'm going to do. The other thing I'm going to do, again, for my driving style, as I said, it's slightly oversteery, both in turning and sometimes at the exit. So let's just add 0.3 extra positive toe and maybe 1 extra degree of camber. Go out, see what happens. Okay? See, Sikopol says, read on Reddit some Discord chats that full negative tone the rear seemingly has not been patched, and works also for a setup, not affecting wear according to the OPs. Here's what I'm going to tell you. So, there are people out there really working their heads out doing proper setups. Niels is one of them. I take him as an example because he's really doing some amazing job to do proper work with the setups. And then you have, the usual aliens that go out, min, max that, whatever. I agree, it's still not, punishing them. The physics still does not punishing them properly when they do this min-max. But honestly, from what we've seen until now, every single time, that they had some talking with us, they were like, yeah, but it's very fast. And then we give him a more normal setup, more logical setup, and it's like, yeah, this setup seems good, it's easier, and nicer to drive, but I'm 1/10 of a second slower. So yeah, I'm gonna get the other one, min, max, whatever. Now those setups end up to normal drivers, and by normal drivers I don't mean very slow drivers, but I mean average drivers, I mean even fast drivers, and they have the label of, you know, that alien makes the best laps with this setup. So instantly it becomes, oh yes, the meta setup works, you know, nothing is patched, which is not the case, and we should all use that. At some point, we believe, both with the changes we are doing and we are actively doing still, and with time going ahead, that other average drivers will make the correct, you know, choice and start to use proper setups, and they will get more consistent, you know, and they will have a nicer car to use. And then you will get the usual guys that, you know, they just get a ready setup, or just, you know, min-max this and min-max that, and have the placebo that it is better, complaining about how the game is broken and how the cars do not feel right. What can I do? It will take a little bit of time, it will take a little bit of conviction of everybody, but honestly, you know, I mean, you can feel it yourself that if you put all negative toe, the steering wheel becomes very vague. But yet you're gonna use it because somewhere, somehow, somebody told you that this is the faster way to do it. I don't know, you know. Again, I repeat, that is not mean that there is still, you know, effort and possibilities to improve. This is absolutely something we are doing, and perfection is not of this planet, it is not of this room, it is not of this lazy dev. So we're still trying, absolutely. But then again, you know, it's like working, trying to convince the mountain of laziness at some point, you know. So, you know, it's gonna take some time, or we might never be able to convince some people. It is what it is. Okay, let's do a couple of laps again with this different setup. Let's see if we have improved, and then switch to another car. No worries, Jacopo. Thanks for, you know, making the question so we can talk about this. We will talk every single time because it's a nice thing to repeat and educate, or even find problems that I might not be aware. It's the same thing as, you know, the usual copy-paste BOP settings. Every time we do a BOP change, the usual guy comes out, copy-paste some values, and everybody's going, oh, why did you do that? Why did you do this? Obviously, he gets only, I don't know, not even 1/4 of the values that are changed, or the small changes that are being done to the car, and everybody's like, oh, you lowered the, you know, the power there, or you added kilos there, on the other side. So, Kuno's way of doing things, I've read today. What can I say? If you want to trust this guy, go on, make him seem God. Don't complain when he's, you know, also selling mem cheats, whatever. But what I will tell you is, here's how we do it. First of all, we need, and we have, to follow the real BOP values. Why is that? Because when we follow the real BOP values, the manufacturers, you know, expect from us to do this. Why? Because if I do my own values of the BOP, obviously the manufacturers will jump on me and start, you know, complaining like, why did you add this arbitrary amount of kilos to our car, and why did you take off this arbitrary kilos on the opponent's car? And they will be right. So we need to stay on the realism part and repeat the same BOP that we see in real life. So what you see here on the last hotfix is the actual BOP that they ran at Monza. They actually changed it 4 times. So we are using now the last change of Monza BOP from the real race. Now, because obviously we had tried to balance out the car from many other values with the initial BOP, since the BOP changed and the real BOP took off 15 kilos on the Ferrari, 20 kilos on the Lambo, lighter, another 10 kilos lighter on the Porsche and so on, we had to balance out other stuff on the cars in order to get the cars as close as possible again. From our initial testings with the eSport drivers, it seems that the new cars and the top cars are quite close. I will tell you that the NSX Honda seems to be a bit slower. The Mercedes probably got nerfed a little bit too much, so we need to fix that, and those things are going to be fixed. And that's how we do it, practically, okay? So this is it. Alright, so we did our changes, and you can instantly see how the car is much more stable for my type of driving in turn-in, and I don't suffer from this extra oversteer at the turn-in. Again, I repeat, we made the rear end stiffer on the dampers, on the slow dampers, and we added a tiny bit of positive toe, and now we have an extremely stable car for my needs. It doesn't mean that this kind of setup will be better for you, but it is for me, and I like it the way it drives. So this is one of the things that you can do, small clicks here and there, in order to make a car that you really enjoy how to drive. Very nice, really stable car for my liking. Couple of clicks and that was it. Whoops, overdid it here. Last famous words, but again, no problems to catch it. If your NSX Evo is oversteery, lower the rear end. Play a little bit with the toe and it should be fine again. Guys, it's always the same things. Nothing has really changed on how you can change the handling of the car. It does pay to, you know, learn a little bit at least about the basics of the car handling and setup. You don't need to become crazy to find out, you know, meta setups or stuff like that, or, you know, try to download and try all the different setups. All you need to do is, you know, follow, for example, our playlist on how to make a custom setup. Pressures, ride heights, stiffness, that's it. In addition, now you can also play much better with the dampers as well. Basic stuff, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. And you're gonna be much happier with a setup that you have made yourself, and that you you know, you can adjust to your liking, because in the end, if you really want to make results in a race, it's all about being consistent. Yes, you can be extremely fast on a single lap, doesn't matter. If you're not an alien, it doesn't matter. What it matters is, can you be as fast as you can consistently for a full racing stint? This is what matters. I heard a strange rumor from noise from my steering rim, and I'm afraid something is breaking. Okay, pressures are good. Let's try and have a lap. But we do use negative toe at the front. Sorry, I'm not following very well the discussion, so might be wrong on what you're trying to do. So nice over the curb over there. So there you have it. Much better lap time, much better control. All right, so that was the Mercedes. I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope to see you guys trying the car and getting better with it. Really cool car. Absolutely, everything we have shown you on how to set up a car, it's always going to be the same. The only thing that changes is the tire pressures, of course. You have a much wider now range, and you need to be a little bit lower in the pressures. But other than that, it's still the same. You need to get out, you need to do 3-4 laps, go back, check your pressures, change the ride heights, change the stiffness, go back again, stuff like that. Valson, I'm sorry that you see disconnected, but if a million players out there do not see the disconnected and you are one of the small amount of ones that you see the disconnected, then maybe you should check your your configuration and not instantly label it as a bug. Except if you're talking about that every once in a while the lobby says disconnected, which does so when you are not actively on the game and waiting, so after a while it will say disconnected. If you wait a little bit again, it will go connected again. Jimmy Holm, no, I don't agree with that, my friend. So Jimmy Holm says setup TC driving style doesn't seem to affect tire wear noticeably. No, I don't agree. It does affect the tire wear quite a bit. What it does happen with these kind of cars is obviously that as you go through a stint and your tires get worn out, the car also becomes much lighter, and as in real life, the lap times remain stable or even get faster. That doesn't mean that if a driver takes care of its tires against a driver that doesn't take care of its tires, won't be faster than the other one at the end of the stint. So it does affect quite a bit. Now, if your driving is so, you know, not consistent that you can understand, or you don't have another opponent that it is at your same level, but it is much better or much worse on the tire wear, so that you don't understand it, and that's a different issue. But on driver parity, driver and performance, a driver that takes care of the tires globally, at the end of the stint, or towards the end of the stint, is going to be in a much better place than another one. All right, so let's go out and get another car. Pretty much in the same way, MK Hornet HD. So GT4 cars are affected pretty much in the same way. All right, so let's go and try the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. Now that car is a really nice surprise for me. Look at this, the ironics, wonderful. I mean, Huracan really does have to be in this kind of extravagant colors, right? Otherwise, it's not a Lamborghini. So what are we going to do? Let's take this one this time. So the engine maps on the Mercedes are the same as before. Nothing has changed. I remind you guys that I have updated the engine maps document into the official forum. So you can find them there. The engine maps at the Ferrari might change. The moment they will change, I will update the document once again. All right, so Lambo, nice, wonderful car, nice snorkel. Some problems I heard from the real teams, but seems to be resolved for Monza. Completely redesigned real wheel archers. They practically, here you had the intake of the engine. Now instead you have the intake of the engine on the snorkel, and you have 10 individual throttle bodies. What a sound. Really, really cool. Obviously different rear wing, different front winglets, different a lot of aerodynamic work into this car in order to make it much easier, safer, to drive to the limit and stay on the limit for a longer time. All right, so yeah, actually Chris B, our 3D model artist, which as usual I always have to thank them. They are doing an amazing job every single time. You know, when the Evo 2 car was presented, they were like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we can do that, you know, small changes here and there, we're gonna use the old model, no big deal. And then the CAD comes along, and they were like, oh my god, why did we say yes on this? Practically they had to redo the model from scratch, because pretty much every single panel was changed. Yeah, they did a Porsche, same car on the outside, completely different panels everywhere. All right, so let's go to the Lamborghini Evo 2. So as I was saying, the main focus of this car was to make it produce even more downforce, and make it produce more downforce in a less sensitive aero map, which means that the car is not so much at the edge. If you want to really go fast, you don't need to drive with such precision, because if you overdid it a little bit on one side or the other side, you're gonna lose the car, and you're gonna lose a lot of time, as it was the previous versions. This new car is it has a much less sensitive aero map, and as a result you can stay on the limit for longer time without having to be so precise. It's much better also for the gentleman drivers as well. What is the disadvantage? The disadvantage is that in order to do so with the aero map, they had to add elements, aerodynamic elements, that they also raise the drag, the aerodynamic drag. So this car is more draggy than the older Lamborghini. It won't be as fast on the straight line as the older Lamborghini, but it really doesn't matter because it's so much faster in the turns, on the turn-in, on the exit of the corners, that practically you never feel the need for extra top speed. And obviously we're talking that it loses like 4 or 5 kilometers per hour on very long straights in comparison to the older car. So not that big of a deal. Right, so let's go do some laps and see what's going on.
Green light, show them where you go.
Ha, what an engine, guys. So you can see, wonderful turn in, staying really close to the apex, and great stability. You don't have to fight with the car, you don't have to, you know, go crazy about how careful you are. The car really helps you to stay on the limit. Even with cold tires, look at this, excellent stability from the car. Guys, as usual, I'm sorry, but official news about console releases, whatever, content or not content, whatever, you will always going to find out from the official pages, social pages, and so on of Assetto Corsa. You will never find out from me. Either I don't know or I don't have the permission to talk about it. So I'm sorry about that. It's not that I'm ignoring you. It's just you are not going to get this kind of information from me. That's all. What? Really great car. I really like this car. The handling is, how to say, it's consistent and honest handling. It doesn't take you by surprise. You know what to expect from the car. How can you feel understeery on the Lambo? I mean, I hope you guys are not using the EcoMap 1 on the Lambo and then think that it is understeery. We will talk about that in a minute. So, what it changes in terms of electronics with the new Lambo? Because we don't have just changes on the aerodynamic map and the engine torque delivery. We also have changes on the electronics of the car. So first of all, the Lambo Evo 2 now has both traction control 1 and traction control 2. So you can you can fine-tune the traction control logic. As usual, traction control 1 decides when to intervene, so it tries to find out how much the rear tires are slipping or sliding, and depending on the amount of slip, it engages. The lower the number, the later it's going to engage. So let's have a look at that. So let's bring the traction control to 1. You can see TC lat, so it will let the car go into a wider angle of slide at the rear. If I manage to stop the car here. So look at this, you can see already oversteer. You see, traction control 1, it really lets me go wider with the traction control, with the slide, if I'm not careful with my throttle application. Again, here you see, I'm rotating the car on the accelerator. Now, if I go back to 3, we have again the control of the rear slide as before. So I can go a little bit more aggressive on the accelerator, and the traction control doesn't let the car rotate as much. Alright? Francesco, piacere tutto mio di vederti a Monza. Grazie per essere passato. Look at this again. Very good control from the traction control on the slide. So what is happening with the traction control 2 now? So if I lower the traction control 1, which says grip, the traction control will engage pretty much at the same moment as before, but it will not lower the throttle, so the power delivery as much as before. So TC2, traction control 2, at a lower level means that the traction control will engage, but it will cut less. It will still keep a higher amount of throttle. So let's try this here. You can see the car rotates. It is controlled very nicely, but it let it rotate more because there is more throttle. Let's try it again. See, very nice rotation, because traction control 1 controls the slide, but it lets more power to be delivered, so you can do more meters, you know, of acceleration, let's say. So once again, traction control 1 controls how much you're going to slide. Traction control 2 is going to control, while you're sliding, how much power is going to be released, practically. Okay, let's do the opposite now. So let's go down to traction control 1. And we also have traction control 2 to 1. And let's see how much oversteer we're gonna get. Look at this, lots of oversteer, you see? Lots of oversteer. We really have to play with our pedal inputs and steering inputs to control the car. Now, I'm gonna put the traction control 2 to something like 4 or 5. Let's see what happens. You see? So the rear end goes into a slide, and the traction control 1 doesn't engage that much, but when it engages, it keeps the power delivery much lower. You can see that the car does not accelerate. Why is doing that? Because we told them to use a higher level on traction control 2. Look at this again. You see, it doesn't accelerate. It stays there. The TC1 lets the car slide, but then it doesn't accelerate. Eliseo, il piacere è tutto mio, grazie a te. And again, look at this, how stopped we are right now. And then on the straight, it finally releases the car, and we can go and accelerate. No, strong day, it doesn't really work like that. My personal advice and the engineer's advice is to to control, to put the traction control that you like, and then fine-tune with TC2. So TC1 to control how much you want to slide, and TC2 to fine-tune how much acceleration you want to have. So like for me right now, I think I'm gonna go down to TC1 at level 2 and TC2 at level 3 or 4. We'll see now. See, I can rotate the car really nicely on the accelerator without the rear end stepping completely outside. Again, much improved car over the curbs. Obviously, it's not a Mercedes, but still much improved car over the curbs. Yeah, Robert, it's still, you know, you might have heard me during the race weekend. I had no voice at all because I was recovering from a flu, and my voice was completely gone away. And now I'm much better. I still have voice, but when I keep on talking, the cough is coming back. So it's typical for me when I get the flu during, let's say, February or March. I keep it for the whole spring. It's like that. Federico, grazie mille. Alright, so this is traction control 1 and traction control 2. Let's find out another very important electronics feature of the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2. Okay, and this is different engine braking. So by using now 10 individual throttle bodies directly controlled by the ECU, they can also alter slightly the engine braking of the engine. What that means? Well, as you know, when you release the throttle, the engine is like a big pump, right, that goes into negative pressure and practically generates some braking torque to the driving wheels, to the rear wheels. Now, if the engine brake is high, so a lot of braking torque is generated, obviously the car is going to rotate more during coast. If it's low, the car is going to rotate less during coast. And this thing now, you can actively change it through the electronics of the car. So the normal engine braking is achieved at the ECU level 3. And that's why all the setups now are at level 3. All the ECU maps on the Evo 2 car are the same in terms of engine power, and pretty much the same also in terms of consumption, fuel consumption. So, what happens if we change the engine braking though? So as I said, engine braking, ECU map 3 is the normal one that we are driving right now. So let's put that now to ECU map 1, which is the less strong engine braking. It's very low engine braking at ECU map 1, all right? So let's set it to 1 now and see what happens. So I'm going into coast, and with ECU map 1 you will see and notice that the car understeered more on the apex. So let's go here. See, understeer already. Car just goes. Why is that? Because there's no engine brake to you know, brake the rear wheels and make the car rotate when I'm coasting. Try it again here. Also the braking is a little bit more difficult, but not that much. Try it here as well. Oh, again, if I'm not trail braking, the car just goes wide. And again here, you see how much understeer I have now in the middle of the corner. If I change the engine brake with an EcoMap 5, so let's go back to engine 5 now, I'm gonna have much more engine braking, and you'll see how the car rotates and points to the apex. Look at this, a lot of rotation through coasting. This is only a Lambo thing. Look at this, really goes inside. Look how much rotation I gain and how the front end points to the center of the corner when I'm coasting. So again, now we're gonna release the brakes and let the car coast. In we go, and look at that, you see I can really go inside. So it's pretty evident what it does, alright? And you can try it yourself and see the results of that, and what is how the handling changes. Okay? Why you would like to have a low engine brake? Well, first of all, you might be towards the end of the stint of your race stint, and you might have your rear tires very worn out. Okay? And you might have the rear end very light because you don't have any fuel, and so you might be feeling some oversteer or turn in. If you feel that, you go down 1 or 2 clicks on the EcoMap, and you have less engine brake and your car stabilizes. That is very helpful. Or you might be, for whatever reason, overdriving the front tires, and you might be experiencing some understeer. Okay, so you go up to the EcoMap and you get more engine braking, and you help the car rotate on coasting and stay on the trajectory. There are also other things that you can do. Let's find out on the setup. So let's go to the setup and say, all right, when I am coasting, I have understeer. I can make the car much more oversteery for whatever reason, okay, in terms of aerodynamics. All right. Let's also make it stiffer at the rear, also mechanical understeery, oversteery, sorry. So this is a quite oversteery setup, in theory at least. So let's go out again. And let's try out. So normally this kind of setup, for me, for my kind of driving, it's gonna be a little bit too oversteery, and I generally don't like this kind of setups. So in we go, and you see already the car likes to rotate more, right? But let's say that you are running a endurance race, and your co-drivers like a much more oversteery, much more pointy setup, and you'll find yourself having to drive this kind of setup here, which, as you can see, rotates quite a bit. Okay? Well, with the Lamborghini, you have now extra possibilities. So what I'm going to do right now is go down to engine map 1 and have less engine brake. Let's see if this makes the car better for my driving style. Okay, so you see the car doesn't rotate that much anymore, so I can drive it, you know? Look at this again. So this quite oversteery setup for my driving style has now become more confident for me. It helps me drive without having to fight the car continuously. You see, again. So this is one way. And it works also in the other way around. So let's say that you have a driver that needs a lot of rotation. You go up and you have a lot of engine braking. Let's see what is going to happen on this last corner. So if you are a driver like this, you see how much the car rotates. I can really stay here. Now, that's not for me, but it might be much better for other people. Or you might have a very safe setup, because the other drivers need a more safe setup, more understeer setup, and you want to rotate more, you go up with the engine braking, and it helps you rotate the car into the corner and through the apex. It's very important. Through the apex, it changes a lot. Now, there are also more advantages and disadvantages. Low engine brake helps you maintain higher speed when you're coasting, because obviously you're not losing as much speed through the corner. High engine brake, it's going to make you lose some speed in the apex, because even if you are coasting, it's going to slow you down, right? So you have to balance out those things. Luckily, now we just went from one extreme to the other, but you have 5 levels to play around, okay? And sometimes you just need one up or one down, and that's all you need to take the car closer to your driving style. Play a little bit around with it, see how you like it. It can also affect quite a bit the setup that you're doing for the car. And I think it's a very interesting feature and very useful while you're driving, especially for longer race stints. A couple of extra things about the setup of the Huracan. So practically, as I said, the car has more drag now, but it's also less sensitive to pitch, which means that you can run a good rake on the car, and you don't have to run that high of a rear wing. You really can go slower and lower and lower on the rear wing, still maintain a very good downforce levels, and gain back some of the additional drag that the car creates right now. So my advice is, except of very extreme setups and situations, is start with the aggressive. Don't overdo it. So I don't think it's necessary to go to some 12 or 11 rear wing anymore. You can go lower, stay up to 9 or 10, and you can go down quite a bit and still have a safe, stable car through pretty much all kind of turns and conditions. Okay. Let me get some water, guys, because the voice is suffering and a lot of cough. Sorry about that. Some love to the Jaguar. It's difficult. It's an old car. Why you cannot use new cars in practice run offline? Finch, make sure you are in the open category. I'll show you where. So here it is. You click over here on top, single player. You click here, you see? And make sure you select the open series, because we cannot, update with 2023 and so on. The open series has all the cars, old and new ones, all with the new tires. So make sure you are in open series over here. Also, when you are doing a race, for example, okay, quick race, or race weekend, whatever, I think, no, this is practically, sorry, my bad. When you're doing a championship, okay, also here you have to select the open series in order to get all the cars. All right. Pedro, Aston Martin is extremely fast right now. It's a very fast car. No worries, Finch. Glad you know it now, and spread the word, as they say. Voodoo Child, yes, absolutely. It helps, stiffer suspension, dampers, and a lot of downforce can generate more tire heat. All right, guys, so let's go in the next car, which is, of course, the Porsche 911 GT3 R, codename 992. I know, it's complicated, it's a mouthful, but it is like that. So we call it 992, everybody calls it 992. The official name is 911 GT3 R. And what a wonderful car it is. Let's have a look. This is really a nice livery. Classical, you know, really nice. Look at this. Green, because obviously you always have to have a Kermit with the Porsches. Another wonderful livery. Heh. Ooh, this is one of my favorites. I really like this kind. Team parking with a new colors for the sponsor. I used to see the Team Parker with the blue, dark blue, light blue and gray, but this is completely different. And this one as well. Well, I'm gonna get, what was it? This one. And let's go for some laps. It's strange that your tire temps are not good. I mean, what tire temps do you get? But you can help tire core temps, as you said, also with the brake ducts. So, you know, lower number of brake ducts will heat up the brakes more and heat up your tires. PB Gizmo, the front right height impact has nothing to do with the version 1.8 or version 1.9. The new cars, especially the Lambo Evo 2 and the M4, tend to be much less pitch sensitive. That's why the front end right height is not that big of an impact, because this is what gives you more stability when turning in to any kind of curve. They are working really hard to achieve that, because obviously the more pitch sensitivity you have, the more difficult the car is. So thank you, Thomas, for the information. I didn't know. Thank you, Kowalski. Okay, so the Porsche 992. What can I say? The Porsche remains a Porsche. It means that it is a hardcore racing car. Okay, it's not made that much for gentleman drivers, or at least it requires from the gentleman driver to learn and be capable of driving, you know, a hardcore racing car. This is the mentality of Porsche. This is the philosophy of Porsche, and it is also what makes this car exciting in the end of the day. It's a very capable car. It has improvements. It has a better top speed than the older car. It is easier to push than the older car, but it still remains, you know, a difficult car. A couple of things about this new Porsche. While with the older car you would go into something extreme like that, you know, so very high rake, very high rear end, and high rear wing. This new car seems to prefer and be much better to drive, especially for drivers like us, if you go into less rake. So if you use something closer and more flat between front and rear, and with slightly less rear wing. It still generates much better downforce than the older car. It has an even lower center of gravity. It has better weight distributions. They've managed to move lots of accessories, components from the engine at the front end of the engine, and in that way they managed to not be so rear weighted as the previous car was. All of this makes for a better balanced out car, but again, as I said, you really need to learn how to push this car. So let's, take the aggressive setup. As you can see, 67 to 54, it's not that much of rake as before, and let's go for a couple of laps. Too high rear height doesn't causes downforce loss, but it can make the car much more pitch sensitive, and also the mechanical grip is not so good because obviously you are forcing the rear arms to go downwards, which is not the best situation. Aha, what an engine. The engine is much better. It's still, normally aspirated flat six. Look at how agile the car is. Look at how it changes direction. This has always been the case with the Porsche, and it's still the case. The car just loves to change direction. Look at this, and there we go, instantly. You see, very good on the curves, and really wants to go to the inside of the turn. Great, fantastic car. So, recommendations for the Porsche. It's not like that this car is going, to make 290, 300 kilometers per hour on the straight, but it's still very capable of doing, 283, 284 kilometers per hour at Paul Ricard, or 276 kilometers per hour at Monza, which is, more than acceptable, and it still makes the car competitive even at high top speed circuits. And of course you gain a lot by the probably best mechanical grip available to any car. The car still remains very light. That was a surprise, because from the initial testing we thought that they were going for a much heavier BOP, but the last BOP adjustments the SRO did on the car at Monza, it turned back to be a much lighter car, almost as light as the original Porsche, which is a little bit strange. Probably they're still trying to find out performance from the car, and probably when they find out the performance from the car in real life, they are going to penalize it more with extra weight. It was also difficult for us to balance it out with such a light BOP, because on the papers, on the numbers, the car is very capable, and making it so light, it was quickly becoming an OP car, so it was quite a bit difficult to balance out. We're still working on that, and it will get better race after race, with the collaboration of both manufacturers and the eSport drivers. But I mean, look at how eager this car is to change direction. You really need to be careful. It's not a car that, you want to go into the turn and not think about it. You can see how it changes during the turning, slightly understeer, slightly oversteer. That's typical Porsche. The car moves, and you need to work with the car and your driving inputs in order to get out the best possible performance from the car. Well, the torque on the new engine is not that low. Certainly it is on high revs, but not that low. So I want to show you what happens if you exaggerate the rake of the car. And it's not that much of aerodynamic balance. So let's go higher here, okay, and get a little bit extra wing and go pretty much on the same front aero variation. But I want to show you what happens in terms of mechanical grip and why, in my opinion, except if you are an extremely capable driver or you like extremely oversteery cars, I think you should avoid it. So yeah, let's have a look. Yes, BQ, it's definitely more competitive. I mean, you can make 283 kilometers per hour for the car. So as you can see, lots of rotation, but at least for me, I'm losing time because I really need to be either extremely careful and precise, or I continuously need to try to cut out the rear end because it wants to go wide. And it's not that much because of aereo, but it is more because of the mechanical balance and suspension geometry. You see how it wants to rotate way too much. I'm pretty sure that, you know, high-level drivers will love it. It's not that much to my liking. I think the car behaves better if the rear end is slightly lower, and on top of that, if you go slightly lower, you also can get away with lower wings, which definitely helps on the top speed as well. You see there on the curbs, it wants to rotate too much because of the rear suspension now is so high. I'll go inside there as well. You see, when I'm going over the curb, it tries to rotate too much for my liking. So my advice is, every time you try to get more and more rotation for the car, for whatever reason, you like it that way, whatever, try to get the rotation in other ways instead of raising the rear end. Because if you do so, then over the curbs, you're gonna have this kind of troubles and issues. That's my advice. So, again, I remind you. So you want rotation, that's fine. My advice is stay on a relatively normal rake, you know, 10, 15 millimeters more right head at the rear than the front. Go lower with the wing to help with the rotation. That will also help a lot with your top speed as well, and the car will still be producing a very good amount of downforce. And then you have, for example, the rear camber and toe. So if we go lower over here and a little bit lower on the toe, something like that, you will see that you gain a lot of rotation without this extreme imbalance and strange behaviors on the curbs. Good evening, Gregor. Hey, Gregor, how you doing, buddy? Big thanks to all the eSport drivers that they are helping us out with balancing out the cars. I am absolutely convinced that as we go through the various races, the official races, we will end up with a very nice and balanced BOP of all the cars on all the circuits. Okay, so you can see now we have a good rotation on the car. We don't have too much drag because the rear wing is not that high. See, wonderful rotation here, so close to the apex of the corner. And then we go over the curbs and we don't get big problems, you see? Car stable, no big deal. So, almost the same rotation as before, but much better handling of the car on the curbs. And that's all because of different um, suspension geometry. Boink and boink, and the car still remains stable. And the rotation is there as well. And that is the Porsche. Again, I repeat, the Porsche is a very agile car. It takes effort, you know, to drive it properly. It's not a car to be taken lightly and just, you know, drive and make lap times. It needs a lot of effort, it needs preparation, it needs commitment, but it's also so satisfying to drive, to listen, to look at. I mean, look at this. Oops. About the bouncing, we are trying to find out how come. There's no actual indication of why this is happening, and to reduce it. It's not a big deal right now for us, so it's not critical, but absolutely, if we can reduce that kind of bouncing when it is released from the pit stop, it's all for the best. Look at this. Boink. Nice. Very nice. Manu, thank you, buddy. Anders, I'm sorry, I doubt that. You never know, but I don't think it's something that's gonna end up to Competizione. Source shifting, I mean, any kind of this kind, you know, of driving technique helps with stability, but obviously loses you time. So. High rake and high wing like this has. It's high rake and high wing. Up to a point, yes, but not that much. It prefers to be more flat, less rake, and it gets very good downforce values from medium to high wing with medium to high rake. Okay, so last car of the DLC. Let's get out. How to reduce power understeer in the Porsche? Well, we just show, you know, use a little bit less camber at the rear, slightly neutral toe at the rear. You can give extra rake, don't overdo it, or you can use slightly less rear wing. All that stuff, more or less, it's going to help you. You can use higher and stiffer front dampers on the rebound, and that will help you as well. The blue names, you're right. I'll have a look at it and see if I can change that. The status on the tires experiment goes on. The experiment goes on. Silbro, well, welcome. Have questions about Fefe? I mean Ferrari. So yeah, let's go and have a look at the Ferrari 296 GT3. So Ferrari goes back to more unique than rare almost engine configuration. This car has a V6 engine, B-turbo of course, and this engine is particular because it is also the same engine they use on the brand new prototype of Ferrari for the LMHD QTB plus whatever series. Sorry about the lame joke, but yeah, it's a little bit of a mouthful that I never I can't seem to remember all the strange groups that they now have on the prototypes, but this engine is used on the prototype. The main difference of the engine is obviously different turbo maps, values and so on, but on the prototype the engine has a different alloy and design on the block of the engine. It is the same design, but it is different in terms of that it is much stiffer, and so it can be used as a structural engine, while on the GT3 car is not structural, and so it doesn't need the different block, but it is very, very similar. The whole car has a lot of prototype solutions. It is an extremely low inertia car. The polar inertia of this car is very, very low. It's so agile, maybe sometimes too agile for its own good. Massive amounts of downforce, really one of the highest downforce numbers cars. It also seems to not suffer particularly from the ride height, so you can put it as low as possible and it will create a lot of downforce. You can raise it slightly, like 5 millimeters, and the total amount of downforce will be almost the same. It doesn't lose that much of downforce if you raise it in the ride height, both front and rear. Sorry again. The engine also has extremely low inertia. It's practically a Formula 1 engine of 5 or 10 years ago. So responsive. It has a bit of turbo lag. I guess you have seen it by now, which make the power torque delivery not so linear all the time, but maybe it is for the better, because as I said, the inertia of the engine is so low that when I tried it with no turbo lag at all, sometimes it was a bit too much for the traction of the car. So let's try it. Let's get some liveries. This is really nice. This is really nice. This is also very beautiful. This is quite particular, especially this one with the Red Bull. This is really good with Verstappen.com. This is really a troll kind of livery. But it's an Italian car. It's a Ferrari. I'm gonna go with the red yellow because that's what you're supposed to do. So let's get this and let's go and do a couple of laps. Salvatore, mi fa molto piacere. Thank you so much, buddy. Well, V6, yeah, the sound is obviously not mind-blowing like a normal aspirated car. It is a V6, it is double turbo, True, Jose, you're right. Alright, so let's get the aggressive setup. Should be quite good here. So you can see this Ferrari likes to have, if you go for a medium to high downforce setup, it likes to have a somewhat positive rake. Not too much, but somewhat positive rake. It's not like the Ford 88 that needed a very flat rake or even negative rake, so lower rear end than front. Here you can go with positive rake on medium to high downforce setups, and the car reacts very well. It is a stiff car, especially the anti-roll bars are quite stiff. And how all of this translates? Well, it translates into a car that it is very, very agile. The car is agile. it really takes very small amounts of steering input to change direction. You also have to be careful to not steer way too much, because it's very easy with the Ferrari to go over the front end of the front tires and have scrubbing and graining, because, you know, as I said, it takes a very small amount of steering effort to turn the car, and if you're used from other cars and steer mole, you're gonna get understeer and scrubbing on the tires. So, while the car is very easy to control and gives a lot of confidence, this is a car really made to give tons of confidence to the driver, you have to be somewhat careful to not overdo it if you're coming from other cars and give way too much steering input. So, it is an easy car to push to the limits. It is an easy car to get close to the limits and stay there. Be careful on your steering inputs, don't overdo it. Here's the thing, even though it is a very easy car, and even though it feels like it goes extremely fast, you might happen to find out that your lap times are not so fast as you initially expect. So practically, you go in, you do, you know, the first out lap, and you're like, oh my god, this is a prototype, you know, I will be so fast with this car. And then you go on the second lap, and your lap time is like, yeah, not bad, but, you know, not great either. And so you start pushing, and you're like, yeah, I will change a couple of things to the setup, I will push harder, and now I'm gonna do the new world record or personal best or whatever. And you go out and, meh. Again, not that fast as at least the feeling makes you believe that you'll be going. So why is that? Well, turns out that while the car is easy to push at, let's say, 95% of the performance, it is, because it is so agile and so eager to change direction and, you know, so prototypish in terms of driving style. So it turns out that the last 5% of performance, it's difficult to achieve. It's not like the car is going to bite you back and become dangerous, not at all. But it's difficult to stay on the last 5% of performance. Okay, so that's a strange characteristic of the car. It makes you think that you are about to do the best lap ever. And then you find out that, that's not the case. Okay? And then you're trying to achieve the best lap ever, trying to, you know, be as precise as possible everywhere. And this is where you find out that, yes, the car still behaves very naturally, very well. It doesn't want, you know, to kill you, almost never. But it's difficult to extract the last tenths of a second or half a second, you know, out of the car. That's the issue, let's say. It's not really an issue. It takes, you know, proper driving. The big advantage is that, you know, during races, you can really stay very close to your lap times in a very consistent way, and the car actually helps you out to be better and better and better. So that's very good. So you see, easy lap, car, you know, behaves exemplarily, and I can do pretty much whatever I want, hitting apex after apex. 59. We just did, I don't know, 56 with the Mercedes and the 57 with the other cars without, you know, even pushing properly. So you really need to be very, very precise on your driving inputs and make the car go up to the limit to start doing proper lap times. Now we're gonna do the next lap. We're gonna probably hit a 58, you know, but that's it. We're gonna go down to 57, and it's gonna feel very safe and very easy. To go down to the 56 or, you know, 55s where you're starting pushing properly, this is where the trouble starts. And it's not a car that's going to tell you, no, you know what, you are achieving the limit because I'm becoming dangerous. No, it will still be, the composer will be great. You know, here, look at that. I mean, I'm hitting the apex extremely easy, flat out. But the lap doesn't come down. So yeah, it requires from you, if you really want to be very, very fast with this car, it requires from you proper racing driving techniques and a lot of precision. Otherwise, you know, you'll just be hitting consistent lap times, you'll be happy, the car will be happy, and they lived happy happily ever after, as they say. So look at this again, 57.6. Car is easy to do it, but I was expecting a 56 already, and it just doesn't, you know. And then when you do the error, problems start. So this is the car. This is the new Ferrari. Definitely one of the top cars right now. As with the real car, there is a lot of performance to be found, and it seems to be tricky to find out that performance. Even in real life, it seems that the car is very good, very consistent. Everybody's happy about the car, how it reacts, but finding out the true performance turns out to be tricky. You know, the numbers, the technical specs, the feedback that you get from the car when driving, it all gives you the idea that, again, I repeat, sorry for being boring, that this car is going to be, you know, easy pole position, easy win. But the lap time doesn't come out for whatever reason. Strange. Another great advantage of the car is the curbs handling. It really eats curbs, you know, for breakfast. It's so stable over the curbs. Sometimes you need to be more careful on very high curbs because, for example, when the Mercedes can go over very high curbs without any issues at all, because it has quite a bit of rake at the rear, and so the rear end doesn't touch the ground and stays higher. With this car you use less rake, and that means that if you go at very high curbs, at some point the rear end might, you know, touch with the ground, and that might, you know, destabilize the car. But for all the other curbs and all the other situations, it's even better than the Mercedes. It just goes over the curb and practically nothing changes on the line that the car follows, on the traction, on the traction control engagement, nothing. I mean, look at this. You go over here, nothing changes, nothing. Just go up and down the curb, and you don't have to do anything on the steering wheel. The car just follows the correct trajectory. So confidence inspiring. Fantastic car. Another great thing, well, first of all, for this car we had an incredible amount of support from Ferrari. They gave us so much feedback and data. It was really, really great, and I really thank them for all the feedback. The actual head engineer of the car is a sim racer, and he actually tried the car with VR and wanted to find out the best possible driving position for the car, or for the real car, and so he managed to lower the dashboard of the car in order to give to the real drivers and sim drivers, obviously subsequently, the best possible driving position. And it shows. It's one of those cars that has the, in my opinion, best visibility out of the driving position. So, again, this car has traction control 1 and traction control 2. The eco maps right now, they will be changed, but the power delivery and consumption of the engine does not change from one eco map to another. They are all the same. What it does changes is the throttle maps, different kind of throttle maps in order to, you know, be able to control in a better way the power delivery of the very responsive engine. Those eco maps are not yet described in the best possible way in the forum post because Ferrari is still working on them, and we are still working on them. As soon as I have the final configuration of the throttle maps, I'll let you know more information about it. Right now you can use from 1 to 2, nothing really changes. If you really want to feel something different, try using eco maps 6, 7, 8 on the eco maps. Again, I repeat, the power and full consumption are the same, but the throttle application changes. So have a go, see how you feel it, but it's experimental right now. As soon as we have the final throttle maps, we will implement them, and I will update the forum post as usual. Okay, so let's have a look at the replay and answer some questions. So, for example, German from Valencia says, why does this car have TC3 in real life and why it's not modeled in the simulation? Well, TC3 on this car is predictive traction control. It analyzes how the driver drives in real time, conditions of the road and so on, and tries also to change in a predictive way and make the best possible effort out of the car. We talk about it, the answer was like, yeah, no. So we don't know how to implement it yet, we don't have information, and probably need a full computer just for the implementation of that extra traction control. So for the time being, and I don't think that's going to change, we don't have data about that, it's not going to implement it, but truth to be told, they helped us quite a bit with the actual real drivers feedback in order to implement the traction control 1 and 2 in the best possible way to have a car that has excellent traction and control of the power delivery. I mean, you will all agree that the traction control on the car works pretty well. So that's why. It looks tiny, but the whole car is very small. So Zabzi says the rear wing of the 296 looks tiny. How much does its click control? It looks tiny, but it gets a lot of clean air. The main problem with the rear wings in all the car is how much of clean air they get. Okay, this is a big problem in all the cars, even in Formula 1. You might have heard that in Formula 1 the front wing is very important, not that much about how much downforce it does, the front wing, but how it moves and creates the airflow that then it will end up to the rear wing. Okay, so the more clean air you can feed the rear wing, the better and more efficient it's going to be. If you have a look at this car, and if you also compare it with the other, normal GT cars, you see how tiny it is, how the actual driving, driving space is tiny, and how much space there is around the roof of the car in order to create as clean air as possible for the rear wing. Let me show you actually some of the features of this car. So let's go to the garage. So look at this. It really is an extremely well designed car aerodynamically. You can see here, so the roof has this kind of spoiler at the rear, and you can see how they try to take the air and push it downwards and make it in a way, look at this also at the rear, so that the rear wing can get as clean air as possible, so you don't need a big wing that also generates a lot of drag. You get a lot of clean air. With a smaller wing, you can generate the same amounts of downforce with less drag. So it's really interesting. I mean, the whole car is really a big step forward. Very, very well, designed car. Look at that. I mean, you see here, this is massive, So very, very good car. Yes, Alexa is extremely accurate on the statement on his part. So the rear section of the car can create a lot of turbulence, cockpit of Aston, Bentley, BMW and so on, create lots of dirty air, while Ferrari, McLaren, even the Porsche, if you see, it has a massive rear wing in order to try to get as clean air as possible up in their high. So yeah, it's very difficult to get clean air, to arrive at the rear wing. One thing I want to tell you about the suspension geometry of the car. So this car has excellent camber gain. So when the car goes into a roll and turns the wheels, it doesn't lose. Most of the car lose camber when they are rolling through the turn. That's why you need a lot of negative camber. The Ferrari, on the other hand, loses almost nothing, sometimes even gains. So my advice is, don't always go crazy about the amount of negative camber you want to drive at the front of this car. Sometimes you might find out that with less camber, slightly less, I mean, instead of -4, go to -0.9, 8, 7, 6, something like that, you will see that you get better braking distances and equal or even better occasionally, especially if you raise the caster, lateral grip. That is because when you're going into a turn and the car rolls on the Ferrari, the front end practically gains camber instead of losing. So it's very easy for this car to maintain the front camber at the optimum levels, which are around -4, -4.5 for these tires. So don't overdo it with camber on this car. All right? Yes, Flickerbox, both to energize, but also to do not create, turbulence on the rear diffuser. In order to that, sometimes like Echo mats are not final. Would you recommend the car for endurance races? Absolutely yes, Robert. Especially because this is something, actually, thank you for the question. One of the other characteristics of this car is that, as I said, the engine was made in order to be competitive on prototype racing, because the same engine goes into the 499P prototype car for the WEC series. And boy, is that engine efficient. The 296 right now is, with quite a bit of a gap, the most efficient engine from all the GT3 cars. The amount of fuel consumption it has, it's ridiculous to the point, ridiculous low, to the point that I had to double check with Ferrari if the data was correct. They double verified and everything. They absolutely convinced me and showed me even, telemetry that this is the case. The car really consumes very, very low amounts of fuel during a lap. It's amazing how low fuel consumption it has. This obviously keeps the car light. It has a very low center of gravity as well. So this is a car that, it's very good for endurance racing, for the tires consumption, all that stuff. It is a top level modern GT3 racer. No, the fuel capacity won't be adjusted. This is one of those numbers that we adjust only if the SRO thinks it's necessary. The SRO let it to 120 liters. That's how we do it as well. Yeah, very low fuel consumption. Okay, guys, so these were the new DLC cars. I hope you like them. I hope you enjoy them. Shameless promotion. If you like the job Kunos does, if you like the fact that Kunos is one of those companies that, you know, after 5 years it still updates the same title without asking any money, because all the updates in the physics are always for free, by all means, thank you for your support. Go out there, buy the DLC, tell your friends to buy it. It really helps a lot, and helps me personally to convince my fellow colleagues to work more into the title and keep it alive and updated as usual. So thank you for joining, thank you for having a look on the new cars, and I hope you're having fun driving them. Hey Gob, thank you so much, buddy. Andimon now probably is going to send me to that awful place, as I say, because I know he has made a server, and I hope the server hasn't ended. So if you guys want, and if the server is still up, we can join and have a go and have some laps, you know. So let's see if the server is still up. Sorry, Andy, took longer than I thought, as usual. I want to drive the Ferrari for once because I've been driving the Mercedes, the other cars, so I want to drive the Ferrari. So we have a race at Suzuka. Let's see, is the car, it's still okay, the server is up, guys. It's still in free practice, so let's go in. Yay. Does it change anything, says Manu, if you buy from Steam or somewhere else? Okay, let's talk about this thing. So Steam has a very nice feature where it permits the developers, or the publisher in our case, to make different prices for different markets, because obviously not all the markets have the same economic power. Okay. Unfortunately, those third-party websites get those keys at low price and then sell them for lower price than your market. But what they do is practically they create damage to the publisher and to the other markets, because at some point the publisher says, you know what, I'm gonna put the same price everywhere to avoid this kind of because honestly, let's be serious, every one of us is spending, you know, thousands of euros, or at least hundreds of euros for you know, PCs, monitors, steering wheels, pedals, the lot, right? And then when the moment comes to, you know, buy a game that costs in full price 40 euros, 30 euros, as 35 euros I think Assetto Corsa Competizione costs now, or a DLC that costs, you know, 10 euros, we're like, nah, I'm gonna wait for the sales, right? Or I'm gonna take it from third-party websites for 20 or 30% less. So 10 euros becomes 8 euros. I don't want to tell you anything about it, because for every single person, affordability is different. Okay, it's different. So every person, I mean, you might be a student, you might having difficulties to meet ends, whatever. So everyone is living in a different situation, and I greatly respect this, okay, and I don't want to touch it. But if it doesn't make much difference to you, you greatly help the developer by buying it from Steam instead from the third-party websites. It's also safer, blah blah blah, etc., etc. If you cannot, whatever, I don't want to go there. You know better. I'm not even judging you. I'm just saying the things how they are. You buy it for the full price or from Steam, even on sales. You help the publisher, the developer, to think positively and say, you know what, we are getting the correct amount of money. Let's help other people that have less possibilities in their countries and the economic power is lower, to give them a better price. When everybody buys at the same low price, as those markets, at the end of the day, the publisher decides to raise the prices equal for everybody and hurts those communities, which is a shame. So, again, if you can do it, and the whole thing is I'm gonna gain 1 or 2 euros, my honest, advice is, come on, man, buy it at the proper Steam price, sale or not, full price or sale, but at Steam. If for whatever reason you think that, gaining 2 or 3 euros in the price is important, good for you. Still, part of the community, and we are so happy to have you aboard. So welcome aboard, as we say. I mean, again, there's no, on my side personally, no judgment at all. I just wanted to let you know how the situation is. That's all. The nervous. So Robert says, can I fix the nervous, the agility, let's say, of the Ferrari in the setup? Yes, your thinking about steering ratio is correct. If you think that the car is too nervous for your liking, raise the steering ratio, and the car will be much easier to control. GS Sim Racing, man, come on! Thank you so much. Thank you for the beers. Thank you for the beers. Thank you, buddy. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the setup. Get the aggressive setup. We have 20 minutes of pre-practice. We're gonna do, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, and then skip to the qualifying session. Straight line performance of the Ferrari. It might not be the best acceleration car out there. There is also some turbo lag to take care of, but it does manages to get very good top end speed. Top end speed is not bad at all. I believe that the console version, Davide, is going to be updated. Absolutely. I don't know when. I cannot tell you the exact figures of power. I can tell you that the cars usually range from low 500 horsepower to low 550 horsepower, depending on their drag and frontal area and so on. All right, so let's have a go. Let's see how it feels. How do I rate the BMW M4? Extremely capable car. Extremely capable car. Very good all-around car. So moving to qualify in a few minutes, so let me do at least 2 laps and see how I feel the car here at Suzuka.
Yellow flag charging front.
Manu! Oh my god, guys. Thank you so much for your support. You guys rock. Thank you, buddies. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully we can, meet at Spa or somewhere else, and I offer the beers from your support. It would be really nice. Oh, that's a lot of sun there. Look at all those impatient people asking to go into qualifying. $1 million. Well, you're close. Or bang on. Jordan Serrat, hello buddy. We didn't have beers at Monza, it's true. You were laughing all the time, guys. So we should do it on the next possible occasion. You were laughing all the time, and I was making, I was taking photos with sim racers all the time, so jokes on me. Too bad, too fast. Too front braking as well. And use a little bit of extra rotation, but maybe it's the tires. Oh my god, my steering wheel is ready to experience a fast disassembly, rapid disassembly experience. Full steering wheel. This one is a prototype that Fanatec sent me when they were, working on this Formula 1 rim, and it has now quite a bit of abuse. Still going strong, but maybe a screw or something got loose. Have to double check tomorrow and see how it goes. Hey, way too fast. Luca! Hey, grazie per essere passato. I got a lap in, so they will now switch to the qualifying. Moving to quali. All right. Let's have a look what we can do. So, obviously low fuel, something around 20, 60, something like that. And the tires were pretty terrible, so we need to raise this up to 26 possibly, and 25.8. Go to the like this, and oh my god, this is so low, so we need to go to 26.5. And 26.6 again. 0.5. Okay, let's keep it like this. Dumper. That's low. Let's raise a little bit the rebound to keep the front end down. Could use maybe some extra rake. We can try. Dark Cluster, come abbiamo detto all'inizio, noi dobbiamo seguire i valori dell'SRO. L'SRO ha fatto queste modifiche prima della gara sul BOP e noi dobbiamo seguire questi. Per favore, ancora una volta, non leggete solo quello che il furbo di turno mostra sulle modifiche che sono state effettuate. Non è che aggiungiamo i chili e basta. Facciamo anche un sacco di altre cose per ribilanciare le macchine. copia durante un vasto arco di giri, modifiche su eventuali ram air del motore, modifiche su efficienze, aerodinamiche e quant'altro. Cioè, noi stiamo cercando, cioè comunque prendiamo i chili perché dobbiamo metterli per come sono dalla realtà, anche perché se non li mettiamo giustamente arriverà il costruttore e dirà: perché hai messo arbitrariamente questi chili alla mia macchina e quest'altri all'altra macchina? Almeno da quel punto di vista noi gli diciamo: guarda, SRO dice questo e noi facciamo la stessa cosa. Ecco come funziona, capito? Alright, so let's try. Tranquillo, tranquillo Dark Cluster, per quello che volevo rispiegarlo, per favore fallo sapere anche agli altri. E I've been, sai, you know, every BOP brings advantages and disadvantages. For example, DTM, I remember they went to Monza and they had the BOP with, you know, extra, oh my god, so many cars. So they had the extra power to the cars and less weight and so on, but in the end the cars weren't able to finish the stint of 60 minutes because they were consuming too much fuel and they didn't have enough big enough fuel tanks. So yeah, it's complicated as always. It's never easy. It also depends a lot on the tires as well. I remind you that the SRO cars use a single compound tire and pretty much the same size for all the cars from Pirelli, which, yeah, it might not be the best performance if you know, how to say, judge it and compare it with the WEC series, for example, but it is an extremely important technological achievement on tires, because with the same tire and same compound, all the cars, right, in all the tracks, in all the ambient conditions, manage to make the cars work and you know, give good performance. So this is amazing. On other series, WEC, DTM and so on, the tires are specifically made and the compounds are specifically made for each works car. So the manufacturer goes to, I don't know, Michelin, amazing tires, you know, better performance, whatever, but they tell them, you know, for our car, we need this kind of compound, with this kind of dimension, and they deliver. So it's different, you know. Oh my god, I cannot drive. Come on, Aris. Let's give space. Too much chat, not enough driving. Let's focus a little bit and try to make a couple of laps, because otherwise I'm gonna start and dead last. Marcel, we are already updating the BOP continuously. This year we'll be updating before or after every single race, so why the question? Not so sure. Thank you, Svarts. All right. Let's try to do a lot. Truth to be told, I mean, yeah, it's not truly aspirated V8 or V10 or V12, whatever. But I kind of like the many different noises that this V6 does. I mean, I won't say it's, you know, the best thing ever for sure, but you know, not that bad when you're driving. Nice downshifts and blow-off valve of the turbo, stuff like that. It's interesting.
Yellow flag in sector 3.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. So good over the curbs.
Well done, mate. Personal fastest lap.
Lost the apex, my bad. Oh, pressures are so high. That's why the rear end is tricky. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, when your tires go really high now or really low, it's not the end of the day. It's not ideal, but it's still very drivable. It just changes the balance of the car. It changes also the reaction of the car. So you want to find out a different compromise, but certainly it's not undrivable.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
One more lap.
Yellow flag in each other.
Yeah, the rear doesn't help me right now with those tires. Nah, I'm lacking traction then, or okay. Doesn't matter. Let's go back, fix it. So we need to go down at least one. So 27.5, and I'll go down also 4. And 27.5.4 and 1, 2. All right. Front end is not that bad. I'll keep it a little bit higher, the front end. Maybe use slightly less torque. And slightly more camber. Temperatures are not that bad. No. Even I never play alien setups. Okay, I'm not gonna change a lot of that. How much time is this? Half an hour race? What is it? Race 1, half an hour. Alright. So half an hour. I'm gonna go with 42 laps and hope for the best, as they say. A bit stiffer here. All right. Yes, it's gonna be higher. It's gonna be even more higher when we are going to habilitate even more tire wear and damage to the tires. So that's the new era. Approximately how much downforce is lost going from wing to tires via body and suspension? So I don't get exactly what you mean. Andrea, very glad you like it. I don't think quads Dave setups consider alien setups. I think of quite well balanced setups. I haven't seen the latest ones, honestly, so I don't know. But usually they try to do proper setups. Somebody also asked for a little bit extra volume on the engine, so let's go up 30. Patrick says, if I change the first feedback in ACC for mods or did mods or something. Guys, reminder for those that know, and information for those who don't know. We don't do force feedback for different steering wheels. We never did that, and what we do is physics creates forces. Forces get final forces after all the leverages, suspension, whatever. They get sent to the driver, and the driver then decides to put the forces on the electric motor and make you feel the forces and the force feedback. That's what we do. Our part is we create the physics and the forces, and we feed those forces to the driver. That's it. End of story. So if you're feeling different things, is because the tires have changed how they generate the forces, and they feed the forces in a different way to the driver. Now, because fortunately or unfortunately for me, but because fortunately or unfortunately, every single steering wheel maker, in order to convince people that their steering wheel is better than the others, creates drivers with a ton of different sliders, everyone doing slightly different things. Okay, all those sliders make sim racers, unfortunately, to play around with and create force feedback feelings that might not be correct or whatever, you know. So it's you know, they create a feeling that they think is better for them. Fine, okay. Now obviously when the physics change, those settings that they have created might be or might not be correct, and the new physics and forces generated might feel better or worse. So yeah, it is what it is. So make sure that you know what you're doing when you're playing around with the sliders, and try always to go for a more realistic settings as possible. No, it's not Fana crap, it's not Moza crap, it's not Simuku crap. It's the truth is that there are a lot of settings, and people tend to follow or change settings almost randomly sometimes. The game doesn't recognize your wheel correctly. There's not much we can do. I mean, we are sending recognizing wheels as normal direct input devices. That's it.
20 seconds.
All right, let's go. Oh, full lap. Maybe I needed some extra fuel. Oops. Oh my god. I'm not so sure. Maybe the last engine map is space car map. So let's see. I think the most important part is, okay, the gain, it's easy to set. You just set a relatively low gain so that you don't clip, and raise the power of your steering wheel to have the response that you need. Don't overdo it. I've seen many people using extremely high force settings. You don't really need that. Learn to drive with less steering force. Reminder, those cars have, hydraulic power steering or even electrical power steering. So, the gain is easy. The most important part, in my opinion, is setting the correct damping. You need a little bit of damping on your steering wheel. It will give you a more stable feeling of what the car does, because it won't be oscillating like crazy. It will eliminate completely any kind of oscillation, as you can see. See, no oscillation at all. But you also need to not overdo it with damping, because if you do, then you won't be fast enough to counter steer when you need to counter steer. So you need the correct amount of damping for the counter steering, for the oscillations and for the counter steering. This is where I believe you need to be careful and work on your force feedback. Yeah, I saw George Booth by dislocating his finger. If you've seen my previous, live streams, you might have seen me, with bended wrists and fingers and stuff like that. It happens all the time. So you need to stay always careful. Modern, steering wheels are very powerful. Extra careful, and sometimes, it just happens. Sometimes you won't be careful, you won't be accepting something to happen. It just happens. I mean, it's part of the game. Of course, terribly sorry for goodbye. I hope he gets better as soon as possible. I'm not, you know, pointing the finger to tell him that, oh, he didn't do well. No, no. That was perfectly normal. And it wasn't his fault, but unfortunately it happens. Alright guys, race, let's go, let's go, let's go. Cold tires. P9, that's a nice position. Let's build up. Let's go. I really like it how the car rotates on acceleration on those long sweeps. I really enjoy this. Keep the turbo pressure up. Wonderful colors. Hello, Levent. Yeah, Dante, unfortunately I cannot, read your message right now. Won't possibly reply, but maybe someone in the chat can help you out. Well, you can ask everything you want, but not so sure I'll be able to reply right now in the middle of the race. But, try me. No, don't watch the chat, damn it. Oof. Oh, accident over there. Oh, big one. Taking it a little bit too safe. I should push more, but I enjoy it, so. Yeah, Suzuka, and especially Laguna Seca, very low grip on the asphalt.
Well, not many personal fastest now.
Yeah, too much salt for the... Ah, lost it. Damn it. I'm very bad on this corner.
Falling behind in the car in front to sector 3.
Levent, I'm not so sure. I try to understand, but I don't understand exactly what you mean. Guys, if you talk to the chat too much in German now, I honestly don't understand anything at all. I'm having big trouble reading anything. So I will just focus into the race. See if we can close up. Bye. No worries, guys. No worries. Just, you know, say. we're catching up to a nice train ahead of us. That's nice. No worries, guys. Don't worry about it. Just, you know, saying that I cannot really understand, unfortunately. No! Lost gear. Oh, come on! I could have got the slipstream. Ah.
Yellow flag in sector 3.
It's like laser beams. Gio, hello, good VDS. Audi is already faster at Monza on the last BOP, so you should be able to have, you know, better top speed as well. And obviously we're gonna make it better for the other races if it's needed. Chat. A lot of traffic here. What's going on? My god. That's a little bit of unsafe re-entry.
Clear on the left.
Boing.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Oh, drifto. That was the rear going over the curb over there. Rear overheated.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
He's gonna end up in tears, I know. Yeah, we need to get better now.
Falling behind the car in front in sector 2. Warning for exceeding track limits. Yellow flag in sector 1.
Philip is pushing hard behind me. terrible trail braking over there, just not good. Skill issue. Oh, I've lost the corner. Come on, Aris.
Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Oh.
Slow car ahead.
We'll see later on what happened there. I'm not so sure I hit the car on the side of me. I think I got hit from behind, but we'll see afterwards. Oh, maybe the BMW hit me. See if we can catch that BMW in front of us before the BMW behind us.
Losing pressure on the right wheel.
Whoops. Pressures are gone. Over there at the outside of the road, I've lost quite a bit of pressure. Ah, that was much better in trail braking.
Right, man. Leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
Ooh.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Yeah, rear tires are gone now. I don't even know if we're on the final lap. I hope so, because otherwise we're gonna have issues here. Oh yeah, we're definitely on the final lap. But, you know, just to be sure, let's be careful a little bit with the fuel consumption. Yeah, now everything's going wrong. Clint is arriving behind me.
Ethan has finished the race.
All right.
Alright,
P9.
good job, you did the best you could.
Not that bad. Could have been better, could have been worse. Not that bad. Good stuff. Oh, the Ferrari does have great fuel economy, but actually that's the only reason why I managed to finish the race. Alright, that's cool. Good stuff. In the garage. Have a look at the replay. Where did the first accident happen? Oh, here it is. Tire wear, yes. Give me a second. Just went in way too hot, and I was obviously slower because I had to wait for. Alright, significant grain, tire wear 2.40 at the rear. Not that bad tire wear. A little bit of grain, but it is something that I'm looking and watching at, so I think we're gonna improve on that. Truth to be told. Rotsalainen. That was you guys. No worries, mate. It just, happens. It wasn't, I wasn't that fast in the middle of the corner because I had to wait for Philippe at the side of me. So I guess you were, trying to get the best possible exit. So, happens. Won't do it next time, right? Both of us. Did I change the brake physics? No, I haven't, because in the full race the brakes point change in the 30 minutes after. Tire wear, graining, maybe. So you are experiencing this, and obviously the braking changes. It's not remains the same. Top 5. Well done. I wonder if I can change car also for the next race. Andy, do you know if I can change car? Sterzare meno, Carlo, possibilmente. Ma comunque controllo anche perché non mi torna che sia così elevato. E Beto sta al 100% la mia impostazione di forza perché mi serve per il development. Ma non te la consiglio, ti consiglio se hai un DD di stare almeno al massimo 70% o anche meno. Good night, Andy, take care. Alright, so we stay here and see if we can improve.
Green light, go, go, go.
Sammy, we talk about that pretty much through the whole live, and yes, we're working both with manufacturers and eSport drivers to balance out the car as much as possible. But again, this kind of imbalance every time would drive me crazy because, let's be, honest, eSport drivers are extremely crazy about that because they see, 0.2 of a second of one car, it's instantly the end of the world, while in real race there's so much more difference. But that being said, there's always work going on. When you have that wobbling, I don't know, it can be tons of different things. Graining, load pressures, whatever. Levent, I'm sorry buddy, but I have really trouble to understand exactly what you mean. Sorry about that. Thank you, David Diesel. What, changing your braking point is part of racing. You cannot really have braking distances equal through the whole race. Alright, so what do we do? How we can improve? Pressures weren't that bad. Can we go a little bit higher here? Lower like this and find some extra fork front end grip so that it doesn't grain so much. We'll see. Michele, I don't think so. No. Rental time. Thanks, buddy. Take care. So can we lower this? Okay. And have more grip by that. Let's see what happens. Curious. Hey Gazzola, well done buddy. I was following you but couldn't catch you. My bad. Just went in the middle of the road like stupid. Sorry about that. Okay, let's where are we? Set up. Change the tire. Go back out again. Try the Enrico Matteo. I'm advising you to watch the how to make a custom setup, or even better, you know, how to stay in control of your car. We have plenty of videos about that. Maybe I should lower my brake tax, but I don't have time right now. Ooh, cold tires. Yes, always aim for equal pressure. Thank you, John. As usual, John always provides the correct links. really cold. It's colder than before. Very good front end here. And without losing stability at the rear, so that's good, positive. Who's that? Alejandro, thank you for the follow. Guys, as usual, if you like the channel, you know, hit the subscribe, hit a like. Helps with YouTube algorithms or whatever. Well, either unstable on the entry there. Have to be more precise. AMC. You cannot use the same setup for other tracks, no problems. That's an internal code that is useful for previous version of the game to choose the correct tires and so on, the correct amount of camber limits and so on and so forth, but you don't have to worry about that. If you really want to be, you know, absolutely sure, just, you know, load the setup wherever you want and then maybe save it again. Can I do just one more lap? Let's see. See, even with less camber at the front, how much rotation I gain. But that's not a good lap. So there are plenty of ways to gain more rotation. Well, let's go down. I didn't like it that much, but I'm gonna use less brake bias. Try to hit up the tires. When you're changing down the brake bias, you also need to lower the pressures a little bit. So I'll go down by 3. Maybe it's too much. Let's go down by 2. Alright. Mr. Low pressures. If you go low pressures and you go over big curbs or outside the road and back again, you're losing pressure. Το βλέπω το τιμόνι, πώς. Φαίνεται, λιγουλάκι. Το γυρίσουμε λίγο. No, like that. No. So what are we doing? We're starting last this time? Yeah, dead last. Yeah. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Maybe a little bit extra fuel this time. Now let's go up to 50. I mean, 42 was good enough. Let's go 47. Just to be sure. Yeah, I guess Reagan was sarcastic. Only 20 minutes. I was about to make stupid things with the fuel. Yeah. So that means let's go down to 40. Fuel trouble. We need a meme, you know, with my face and you know the fights behind me. Nice variety on the grid. Reagan says Sarkomas might have been involved. Get a little bit of water for the last time. Mini Me says hi. Hello, hello. Hi. It's even colder than before. Fantastic. Let's go lower here.
Seconds.
Ooh, night racing. And we just lost bottom cup. Yeah.
Stay in single file.
Siete in direzione Spa. Mitch, wow, che strada state facendo? Come on, Philip. Oh my god. Maybe we have a bug here. Need to show this to Gergo. Ah, 18 km tracciato. Beh, siete arrivati, dai. Spero che abbiate mangiato perché non troverete nulla aperto a quest'ora. Ma anche molto prima, per dire. Philip is gone crazy, completely crazy. I don't know. He's bored probably. Now he stopped. Why you do this? Bene Mitch, grazie. That's gonna be very cold tires. Blom, blom, blom.
Stay double file. Green light. Go, go, go.
That stupid start.
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the left. Clear on the left. 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 Car on the left. Clear on the left.
That was scary. That last moment control there, the little tap at the rear. Really scary. No, because as you saw, they almost solved it at Monza. They were actually doing very good top speeds. It's not a cooling problem. It was air from the snorkel issues, aerodynamics, so it wouldn't get enough air into the engine intake, but it seems solved somewhat. I don't know all the details because, you know, they're not very willing to share, but it didn't seem to be a big of an issue at Monza now.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Oh! What happened? Lost connection, but I am still connected in the... What happened? Did the actual server went out, or was it me? That was strange. server dead, maybe. Is everybody else out as well? Ah, that was unfortunate. I did a very nice start of the race. Blame the absent Andy. Yeah, always blame Andy, guys. That's unfortunate because it seemed like a very fun race. Let's have a look. I did a very good start. On the outside here, lots of places, and then on the inside, with good exit. Nice. I enjoyed that. Yeah, the server went dead. Server dead. That's more unique than rare. Great start, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Gonna see the little tab. Donk. Ooh! I got so afraid over there. Because it just, you know, unbalanced my car. Probably I pushed him too much to the outside, but, you know, the line there is what it is. Great start, guys. Andrew will be proud. Cool. Oh. Okay, so what do we do? Let's stop this and let's get back to chatting for a little while. So that was it for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the first part of the explanation of the various cars. I hope you enjoyed the races as well. Tomorrow I'm gonna do the Italian version of the first two live streams that we had about the physics and the update of the 1.9. So make sure to join if you would like all the explanations in Italian. You know, the Italian community is numerous and obviously they want our attention, and it's rightful to try to do an Italian stream every once in a while. I don't know, last minute questions, something like that, or otherwise it's way past 1:30, whatever, so it's pretty late and we'll probably have to get some sleep, right? So thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you for the guy joining the server and the community races. That was very good fun. Unfortunately, blame Andy, the second server just died for whatever reason. That's really strange. This is going to be a Greek stream ever. That would be nice, but also, unfortunately, the community is good, but the numbers are still very, very low. So in comparison to the other people, so I don't know, but maybe sometime, you know, or better yet, when I get back to Greece, maybe we could do a big meeting, all the sim racers, or at least most of the sim racers together, and have some fun together. That would be great. Server said good night. Exactly. What we can expect in the future. You don't get news on the future releases from me, only for the official channels. And if I'm gonna be there at Paul Ricard, I don't know yet. I would love to. I'm not so sure. We'll see. And all right, so this is it. Thank you so much for joining, guys. See you tomorrow for the Italian people that want to join. Obviously, if you want to join and want to have some questions in English, I'll try to make you happy as well and reply to you, but it will be mainly an Italian language stream. That's it. See you next time. Say good night. Good night.